Hey, what is up? This is BQ, and you are tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Voice YouTube channel. And this is my show, 6 Points of Impact. Just wrapped up TNA Impact for the evening. So I'm going to talk about 6 things that stood out to me watching the show. Usually what I do is I pick 5 good and I pick 1 bad. So before I do anything, please subscribe here to the channel at Pro Wrestling Voice and give the video a thumbs up. You can also leave a comment, tell us anything you did like about the show, anything you didn't like. Same thing I'm doing for you. So if you do like what I have to say, you want to check out further, I have a podcast that I do every single week, King of the Mountain podcast, with my 2 co-hosts, Kyle and Will, who do a really, really good job. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, we have an interview with DJ Z of the Bromans, not DJ Z, Robbie E of the Bromans. Thinking of DJ Z because I'm going to talk about him here in a little bit. Robbie E of the Bromans got that Tuesday, and it's going to come out real soon. So you can follow us on Twitter. Just click the description. And you will find our Twitter handle there. And you can also find a link to our YouTube. And that has the King of the Mountain podcast on it. Also, all the links are on there, like Podbean, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. So 6 things that stood out to me. 5 good, 1 bad. The first thing, one of the most cringeworthy things TNA has done in a while, even though I really enjoyed it, was that initial contract signing with the Hardys. So in that same light, they did something tonight, which was a story on Rosemary. This was, if you're someone who's very casual and probably tuning into TNA for the first time, you're looking at this saying, what the hell is this shit? And it was a little weird. It was a little creepy. But to look at the positive side of it, in today's current wrestling landscape, it's very uncommon that we get a backstory on a wrestler, especially one that's as creepy as Rosemary and Decay is. So if you take Bray Wyatt, for instance, in the WWE, he's been there, had that character for a couple of years, done the creepy stuff, but where's the backstory? Why is he like that? Same thing with, Dean Ambrose. I'm crazy. I'm this and this. Why are you crazy? We don't get enough of backstories in wrestling. So it's cool to see that TNA is taking that step forward and say, hey, we're going to give a backstory. She has been with a company for half a year, but let's give you a little bit of, why she became who she is. And what she's doing is telling a story of her childhood, but she's acting out all the parts. So she's the daughter, she's the mom. It's kind of creepy. But I was still intrigued, so I do want to see where it goes. So that's great. Backstories on wrestlers are really awesome to see that kind of stuff. Second thing, DJ Z and Lashley had a title match, X Division title tonight. Usually when you see a main eventer like this, especially someone the size of Lashley, and he's going against someone like DJ Z, who's not a big dude, he's an X Division wrestler, you're thinking squash match. And the reason this really stood out to me is because these guys got time. You don't see this kind of match of a heavyweight versus a lightweight to actually get some time. I felt like it probably went about 10 minutes. I don't know. Usually you look at something like that and you think, hey, this is going to be a 3-minute match. It was cool because it gave Lashley an opportunity to display a lot of power moves, but DJ Z also was allowed to do a lot of high-flying stuff. So both guys looked really good in the match. The ending was great. We hadn't seen anything like that in a ladder match before. So props to an X Division title match getting some time, even though it wasn't necessarily an X Division match. Third point, something to keep an eye on. Lashley had stated, and there was some speculation from the fans on this one, that he had stated, I want all the titles. I want all the singles titles. People have not seen that, or we have not seen that as professional wrestling fans in a very long time. Someone holding all titles, maybe on the independent scene a little bit. So we're gonna have to see what happens to see if they give him a program with the King of the Mountain title or not. I guess it would kind of make sense to give him something to do over the next couple weeks while they're focusing on the Bound for Glory playoffs. So Bobby Lashley wants to hold all 3 titles. He also mentioned fighting in Bellator in his next match, and he said he wanted to bring the TNA title with him. I was just thinking today, not sure that happens now because Lesnar just fought in UFC, and now if Lashley, who has been saying for ever now, when I win the TNA title, I'm going to do a Bellator fight with the title. If he were to do so now, they'd probably catch a lot of heat for trying to copy WWE. So something to keep an eye on with him. Next point, we finally got Moose's debut. Moose was very impressive. He went against David Starr, who was in town for the he just did the one night only X Division Extravaganza. He did get some offense in there, so it wasn't a squash match, but it was also nice to see that Moose got his first match against someone who wasn't well known to the TNA audience. It wasn't like they just grabbed someone off the roster, because TNA actually doesn't book jobbers on their roster for the most part. They got a couple comedy characters, but no one really is booked as a jobber. As opposed to, I'll just say, if you compare, Apollo Crews, he had a bunch of matches versus a social outcast and things like that. So TNA doesn't really do the jobber thing, which is really, really nice, kind of a breath of fresh air. But they're able to bring a local guy in, or someone who's billed as a local guy. Moose was very, very impressive. Showed off his aerial moves, his power moves. That power bomb he does on the apron is very nasty, and the game breaker, which is his finisher. That's a gif if there ever was one. He knocked this dude's head off. So really cool debut match, and it was kind of quick, but it should be quick when Moose is in the ring. It wasn't a squash, but it was quick, so I thought it was well booked. Number 5, something I'm not really caring for right now, is the Gail Kim storyline. I've complained about this on the podcast, even though I do like Gail Kim and do respect what she does in the ring. It's kind of like she's always in the title picture. They say she's the female John Cena. She's had 3 title matches in the last 2 months. One was a triple threat at Slammiversary, but in the other 2 matches, she lost. She was pinned. She was not pinned in the triple threat, but she was pinned in the next 2 matches. So you would think, okay, end of the line. And now she's doing this. They throw this term out there a lot, and they haven't said it, but it's just, for lack of a better term, the whole road for redemption story, where she has to defeat every single knockout on the roster before she gets another title shot. I hate it. It's ridiculous, because Jade still has not got a one-on-one rematch for the title. Jade and Sienna could do a really good program right now, and for some reason we are focusing on Gail Kim. Sienna hasn't been on TV for a little while now. She's a knockouts champion. Like, what's going on here? So pretty much we're going to get Gail Kim week after week. Don't like it. Don't care for it. I don't understand why they're doing this. They're obviously trying to give her some kind of big program for Bound for Glory, because she's being inducted into the Hall of Fame for TNA. I just don't like it, and I don't think the fans like it. And last thing, Bound for Glory playoffs. We had the semis tonight, and we saw EC3 beat Broken Matt Hardy, and Mike Bennett beat Drew Galloway. So we weren't getting the predictable finish that we thought was going to be Drew against EC3 in the finals. We're actually getting Mike Bennett and EC3 in the finals. So it's going to be interesting. I think everyone kind of sees where this is going, that they're going to try to set up EC3 and Drew at Bound for Glory now instead. It makes sense to make Mike Bennett the number 1 contender for the title, because he's been kind of beefing with Lashley. I don't really like the idea of Lashley doing a face turn, because it's not too long ago he did the heel turn, which was poorly done. But he did do a heel turn, but the heel run has been really good. So why can't we keep him that way? So it'll be interesting to see if they just do a heel versus heel thing, which, we don't see a whole lot of it anymore, but they're doing a face versus face with EC3 and Drew. So why not give us heel versus heel? So it was a good match. Actually, both the matches were really good, but the Bennett and Drew Galloway was a really good way to end the show. And it furthered the storyline between Drew and EC3 as well. So 2 storylines, 1 match, good stuff. So that's it. 6 points of impact. Again, I'm BQ. If you want to check out the King of the Mountain podcast, just do a search. You can find us on Podbean, YouTube, where else? SoundCloud, and we're now on Stitcher. So, and then you can follow us on Twitter, KOTM_podcast. That is it for this week. Catch you next time.